we're kind of like 2 months into an environment where teachers have had to quickly adapt to remote learning. There's been a lot of triage there, and teachers finally found their footing, I think, a little bit, but as school's wrapping up. And so I just really would love to hear a little bit more about how you're addressing and some of the things that we're hearing, nationally in terms of challenges that teachers are facing, the areas in which they seem to be looking for the most support. And I have a sense that we all are going to hear the same thing, but would love to hear from you some of the work that you're doing currently.
Well, it really has been amazing of how busy that I've been, and that's a really good thing. And it comes from schools and, administrators and teachers reaching out and saying, we are in crisis teaching mode right now. It really isn't true remote or online learning. And what do we do here? And so a couple of different things have really come to the forefront. Number one is, what is a simple framework for remote teaching and learning? And what would that look like? And how do we select the best tools when there are so many things out there? And it is overwhelming. So part of my work has been during this time is to help schools and teachers really come up with a framework for that remote teaching and instruction. The second piece of that is then after a couple of weeks have gone on, we're starting to really address things like the socio-emotional needs of the teacher and the students and even the administrators, and partnering with administrators about how do we provide for that, because now we're there. Equity became a concern from the get-go, and we're still problem solving and coming up with ways that we make things equitable. And I'll tell you that another area in dealing with the technology or the online teaching piece is that teachers are starting to see fatigue. They're starting to see that their students are not really wanting to come online sometimes, and they're getting a little bit tired, and parents are fatigued. And so thinking of ways that we can really improve that situation. And the exciting thing for me is that has opened the opportunity for us to bring in the initiatives that teachers and administrators have been really loving. And those are things like bringing in choice and authentic learning and project-based learning and STEM and STEAM. And we're beginning to see how those things can merge, and that's really exciting. But yes, I understand that the Zoom fatigue is a real thing for everyone, but we're making the most of that. So in terms of the remote teaching and learning, in terms of that kind of thing, we're seeing a lot of that, but there's been obviously a change in what we learned at the beginning, and as we're continuing, what we're finding. But some other areas of wonderful conversations and collaborations with schools have been in some really interesting things. And that has been in things like critical thinking, because they're recognizing that students need to really not just, complete assignments, but they really need to be thinking and thinking outside the box. So we've been doing a lot of conversation about engagement strategies that deal with critical thinking and lead to empowerment for students. In addition to that, my project-based learning folks, they're still wanting that to happen. And so I have been having collaborative meetings with the schools that we had already been doing some training with, and planning for the future and seeing what that would look like in real time, and also seeing what that's going to look like if we have to do a hybrid model next year. And that's exciting planning that's going on with those folks. And then some are really interested in project-based learning, because like I said, they're finding out, wow, we've got to give kids more choices. So what's one of our opportunities to do that? And finally, I'd say the last area of really a lot of training that's been going on in the last few weeks are for administrators and coaches. Administrators and coaches are saying, now what? We're also in this really unique situation. What does an instructional coach do with this kind of dynamic? And what does that look like for an administrator? So it's been great, again, to not only share what I've learned over the years, but to collaborate and problem solve for the things that we're facing.